Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. So if you've been anywhere near the tech world recently, you've undoubtedly seen the absolute avalanche of headlines coming out of Computex 2026. Literally everyone is talking about Nvidia's dizzying array of new product announcements. But here's the thing, most people are treating them as these separate, flashy tech stories. Today, we're going to reframe that entirely. We're going to look right past the hype and the spec sheets to reveal how all these announcements are actually one singular, massive portfolio decision. And more importantly, how they're masking a hidden, high-stakes risk for one of the most valuable companies on the entire planet. Okay, let's dive into this. Right now, in mid-2026, Nvidia is an absolute juggernaut. I mean, we are talking well over $130 billion in annual revenue. But look closely at where that money is actually coming from. A staggering 88% of that massive revenue is overwhelmingly concentrated in just one single area: data center and AI compute. They are effectively bankrolled by selling AI accelerators to hyperscalers, the giant tech companies running those massive cloud networks. And sure, that incredible concentration is a massive strength right now, but it also exposes a deep, deep vulnerability if that single market ever cools down or shifts. So here's how we're going to break all this down today. First, the Computex puzzle. Then we'll introduce our decoder ring, look at their safe cache engines, explore their high-risk diversification, climb the historical ladder, and finally, answer the trillion-dollar question. We're using a classic business framework as our decoder ring to make total sense of all this chaos. All right, starting right off with part one, the Computex puzzle. So at Computex, CEO Jensen Huang took the stage and just dropped a dizzying array of products. The press really zeroed in on three major standalone announcements. You had the next-generation Vera Rubin AI platform entering full production, the new RTX Spark chip aimed directly at mainstream Windows PCs, and, because honestly, why not, the Isaac GR00T reference humanoid robot. Casual observers in the media treated these as isolated, flashy product drops. But viewing them in isolation, that completely misses the big picture. Which brings us to part two, the decoder ring. We really need a tool to cut through all the spec sheet noise and see the actual strategy at play here. Enter the Ansoff Matrix. It's a deliberately simple business framework. It basically uses just two axes and four quadrants to measure how strategic risk escalates, based simply on whether you're selling existing or new products into existing or new markets. It's literally the perfect lens of risk to decode everything Nvidia just announced. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how that risk works. You start up in the top left with market penetration. That's selling what you already have to the customers you already know. Safest bet you can make. But as you move across or down, the risk escalates. Down in that bottom right quadrant, diversification, where you're launching a completely new product into a completely new market, that is where risk hits its absolute peak. So let's take Nvidia's current moves and map them right onto this board, starting with the safe stuff. Part 3, the safe cache engines. Let's walk through those unglamorous, safer quadrants. Nvidia essentially has three core moves here. Step one is market penetration, just taking existing Blackwell GPUs and selling more of them to their existing hyperscalers, lowest risk possible. Step two is market development, taking those same exact chips but selling them to a new market, like national governments building sovereign AI clouds. That's medium risk. And step three is product development, creating a totally new product like that newly announced Vera Rubin platform, but selling it to those exact same hyperscaler customers who already buy from them. The buyer, the channel, the use case, it's all completely known. Now, this safe zone is absolutely crucial. It's the cache engine that funds literally everything else Nvidia does. As our source points out, this is penetration via moat, not via discounting. Every single time Nvidia ships a GPU to an existing customer, they deepen that customer's reliance on CUDA, which is Nvidia's proprietary software stack. It creates this immense software gravity and incredibly high switching costs. So this isn't just a business, it's an impenetrable, unstoppable cache engine driven purely by lock-in. All right, part 4, high-risk diversification. Okay, time to shift gears and ramp up the energy because this framework completely reframes the rest of those Computex announcements. Now, what's really interesting about this is when you combine a brand new product with a brand new market, you land squarely in that diversification quadrant. That is the highest risk you can possibly take in business. And wouldn't you know it, this is exactly where RTX Spark and Isaac GR00T live. These aren't just product updates, they are massive, dangerous bets. Let's nerd out on RTX Spark for a second. It is an
absolute monster. We are talking about a single 3-nanometer package combining a custom ARM-based CPU, over 6,000 CUDA cores, and AI performance hitting roughly 1 petaflop. Slated for the premium tier at up to $4,700, this wildly powerful chip might literally be the heart of the laptop you buy this fall.
But why is this so risky for them? Just look at the contrast. Nvidia's historical play in PCs has always been as an accessory, right? Discrete add-in graphics cards for gaming enthusiasts. They were the add-on. RTX Spark is an entirely different beast. It's a system on chip, it is the core, the literal heart of the machine. And the market is completely new for them, the mainstream Windows thin and light buyer. By stepping out of their comfort zone like this, Nvidia is deliberately choosing to go head-to-head in a brutal, bare-knuckle fight against Apple Silicon and Qualcomm's Snapdragon. And hey, if that wasn't wild enough, we have Isaac GR00T. This is Nvidia's referenced humanoid robot. Again, a totally new product. I mean, Nvidia doesn't exactly sell robots today. And it's aimed at an entirely new and frankly unproven market of physical AI and humanoid robotics. Just like Tesla's Optimus, any honest reading of the Ansoff Matrix scores GR00T as highest risk diversification, no question. Let's move to part 5, the historical ladder. So you might be wondering, why on earth would a company with such a dominant money-printing core business take these crazy risks? Well, if we trace Nvidia's history, we see they've actually climbed the Ansoff Matrix one rung per era. Think about it. Back in 1999, selling GPUs to gamers was their safe core. Then they pushed into product development with CUDA. Between 2012 and 2020, they took those GPUs into a totally new market, AI training in data centers. Guys, what is today their impenetrable $130 billion safe core was actually a super risky market development bet a decade ago. RTX Spark and GRG, they're simply the 2026 rungs on this exact same continuous ladder. But there's a really crucial nuance here that we can't ignore, the adjacency discount. See, Nvidia doesn't do textbook diversification from scratch. Even when they dive into the highest risk quadrant, they carry over massive pre-existing assets. RTX Spark, for instance, inherits Nvidia's vast software gravity with CUDA, their long-standing OEM channels with PC makers, and their ironclad foundry relationships. This adjacency discount significantly lowers their execution risk. It gives them an edge that literally no startup could ever dream of having. Finally, part 6, the trillion-dollar question. So we're right back to the core conflict. Nvidia has deliberately layered a two-front diversification strategy right on top of an incredibly concentrated core business. The framework lays it all out so clearly, and it really forces us to ask, is that 88% data center core generating enough cash, and honestly, just as importantly, enough management bandwidth to underwrite two massive simultaneous bets in the riskiest quadrant of the matrix? Now, the Ansoff framework doesn't give us the answer to that, but the next 4 quarters of Nvidia's data center growth absolutely will. Keep a close eye on those numbers, because how this plays out is going to define the future of the entire tech landscape. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and always keep questioning the headlines.